right, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend forecast for December 15th through the 17th. And it's going to feel more like mid-November, maybe even early November than mid-December this week. And we're going to see some warm temperatures this weekend. And then as we end the weekend and head towards Monday, we've got a storm headed in our direction that will be wet, not snowy. No question about it this week with that one. So what's going on across the country from satellite perspective here? A couple things happening. We've got this system here across the central part of the United States that's lifting. That's going to go well to our north. It's actually kind of helping usher in some warmer temperatures. Our flow has gone kind of westerly and southwesterly a little bit. So we're going to show you kind of where all the warmth is aloft. There's lots of warmth. We got basically overall a big ridge across the upper or across North America, but still this very active subtropical jet. We've talked about this many times. We're going to continue talking about it all winter with El Nino, with a strong El Nino in place, and it is developing quite the storm over the Gulf. And we're going to see something you'd only see this really in an El Nino winter, where we're going to see a coastal storm, essentially a coastal storm right up the coast, but with no cold air to its north and its west attached to it. So it'll be entirely rain, which is just very unusual to see a coastal storm with no rain, snow line, or anything like that. Just an odd setup where this storm is going to be basically entirely driven by the southern jet stream, by the subtropical jet stream, and not really have a connection to a northern piece of energy. That's going to mean it's going to have lots of moisture associated with it, because there's lots of moisture obviously here across the Gulf, and it's going to tap some Atlantic moisture as well. What it won't see is a big temperature contrast with it. So even on the wraparound on the backside, really not much in the way of even flurries or anything like that left over on the backside of this. It's kind of an odd storm for this time of year. Let's take a quick look at radar. What you can see is we get quite a bit of moisture here across the central part of the United States. Again, this is sort of lifting north to the most part, and you can't really see it, but there's lots of rain happening over the Gulf. Florida, lots of flood watches and potential for some pretty significant flash flooding across the southeast, kind of the panhandle of Florida, across southern Georgia as well, and then headed in our direction. I don't think there's really any chance of any significant or any flooding or anything like this. We're probably looking at seeing 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain total out of the system. It shouldn't all come. It could rain quite heavy for a period, but it's not going to all come at once. So again, maybe we ended up with actually less rain last week out of the storm, the way that it evolved. This one, I think, looks like the models are having an easier time with it. The evolution of it's still a little tricky, but I think we're pretty locked in for a good soaking, but nothing that's going to cause any kind of flooding issues or anything like that. Not a lot of wind with this one either. So it's not as significant as the last storm had the potential to be, although it ended up not being that significant really in the end. So let's take a look at what's going on across the country, across North America here. And you can see here's kind of an upper level low that's kind of cut off from the flow that storm over the central part of the country. But otherwise, we're in a giant ridge across North America. Now, it's not warm like 60-degree weather, which you sometimes could get if you had real push from the southeast across New England today. It's more kind of Pacific marine air that has made its way all the way across the United States with this strong onshore flow across the Pacific Northwest. But this ridge is going to continue to build, and our temperatures will continue to increase today. After a cold day yesterday, we had one kind of cold day as this trough moved through, but now we are really moving towards some much warmer temperatures. Today we'll be up close to 50 in some of the valley locations. I think we'll hit 50, 40s for the rest of us. And then as the storm approaches, clouds will hold us from being too warm, but will definitely be plenty warm enough. Let's take a quick look at what I think that storm track is going to do. The weekend is basically dry until Sunday afternoon, so you don't really have to worry too much about rain messing up with your weekend plans. It's actually a good weekend to get outside. It's going to be nice and comfortable. Skiing should even be pretty good. It'll feel a little bit like March skiing, but skiing should be pretty good. They've had a pretty good chance to make some snow this week, so hopefully skiing will be okay. So Saturday overnight, that low is really getting going across the Gulf of Mexico. We're dropping heavy rain across northern Florida, southern Georgia. It kind of takes its time until Sunday overnight getting off the coast. But here, this is a track that oftentimes you would think, boy, this is setting up for a perfect big-time nor'easter storm, except there's no northern energy at all to help out with it. And then it takes kind of a slightly more inland track than you would often expect. Some of that is, again, no cold air pushing it off the coast at all or anything like that. But even west of us, where you might expect, oh, on the backside of this, there might be some snow. No, it's going to be all rain basically associated with the storm because it's detached. But it is going to be a relatively strong storm and a lot of moisture associated with it. That's why we get the 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain, I think, over the weekend. So let's take a look at what that looks like today. A little bit breezy, especially this afternoon. Temperatures in the upper 40s, low 50s, like I said, for some valley locations. Overnight lows fall back into around freezing tonight. Tomorrow, we're in the 40s. The clouds will kind of hold us down in temperatures a little bit. We'll fall down a little bit below freezing potentially Saturday night. Before Sunday, we're back up in the mid 40s, and afternoon rain probably not till after about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, where we get some light showers in here. The heavier rain waits until overnight. So Sunday, if you've got plans, if you want to do outdoor stuff earlier in the day, would be better. By the evening, there's probably some light rain and some kind of drizzle around showers before that gets steady and heavy. Anytime maybe after 8-9 o'clock at night, it starts to get steady and heavy. Rain's pretty good all night into Monday. Varying intensities. Could have a period where it gets pretty heavy for a couple hours. So it could get a little like ponding on the roads and things like that is definitely possible. Temperatures won't fall back out of the 40s on Sunday night. They will start to fall back a little bit on Monday, although not cold, but definitely a little bit of cooler air. And eventually there is a front kind of coming behind us from that will break down the ridge and start to get us into some colder air towards the middle of next week, or really more average, more normal air. But yeah, that's sort of the time period. Like I said, the rain will continue into Monday. Should be wrapped up by sometime during the day on Monday as we head later into the week. All right, that's what things are looking like. Let me give you a quick look at before we do patrons, let's take a look at the highlights. Dry weekend through Sunday afternoon, above average temperatures. The rain from the next storm holds off until late afternoon or early evening Sunday. Breezy conditions for Friday for this afternoon, and a significant rainstorm moves through Sunday overnight into Sunday overnight into Monday. Sorry, not Sunday, with 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. It's not going to rain on Sunday morning. All right. Thanks for joining me. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. Help support what I do here at the West River Weather Guy. If you're interested in becoming a patron, there's a link in the description below that talks about how you can do that. And thanks for supporting the channel. I'll be back on Monday with a look at your work.